Welcome back to Viewpoint. I'm Jim Zogby. Joining me now for an update on the humanitarian situation in Gaza is Bill Corcoran, President and CEO of ANERA, the American Near East Refugee Aid. I could not have this discussion today without talking about the humanitarian aspect, because one of the arguments that's being made is that there is no crisis. We've had articles in the Washington Post showing the Israelis waving the menus of Gaza restaurants and saying, look at the stores are stocked, and Netanyahu arguing there is no crisis, and members of Congress echoing that. Is there a crisis in Gaza?
There's no question a crisis, and I don't know where these talking heads are getting the information, but it seems like it has an ideological basis to it rather than a fact-based set of information. I was just there 2 weeks ago, Jim, and this is my 7th trip to Gaza since the war. It's very evident to me as a casual observer, and also based on our staff there on the ground, that the situation is deteriorating quickly and is not even stable. I'll give you one example. We run a feeding program for 20,000 children per day. They're 3-year-olds. We run blood tests on them, and what we're finding now is that the incidence of anemia has increased from 38% to 48% among these 3-, 4-, and 5-year-olds. That's definitely deterioration and significant. We're also seeing it in terms of just the general stunting of the children and the malnutrition. There are visible signs in that fact. Besides that, what we're noticing is that though the markets are full, and that's what some of the critics are saying, the markets are full, they're full with commercial products that are coming in and being sold at Israeli prices once they can no longer be sold in Israel. So if there's an overproduction of bananas, for instance, that would be shipped into Gaza and then dumped on the market there. The average person just doesn't have the money to purchase these things, and so they really are out of reach. And as a result, that's why we're seeing the anemia and the malnutrition.
Let's look at the numbers. We've got a board I want to put up that shows some of the numbers. These are from the ANERA website, and we'll give you viewers the ANERA website. You can check it out and see what you want to do to give some help to people in Gaza. No access to building materials, 33% of farmland damaged or destroyed, 48% of children under 5 anemic, 80% of residents depending on food aid from the United Nations, 120,000 jobs lost, 10,000 with no access to the water network, and 90,000 living in damaged housing. People from the war whose houses were destroyed, their houses are still destroyed.
They're still destroyed, and there's no hope in the future. Many of the people are still living in tents. They've been living in the basements of mosques, and they're living in community centers. And there's no prospect of them rebuilding right now.
The issue is the Israelis say we can't let concrete or cement in, we can't let metal products in, we can't let these in because they'll be used. Is there a way to get aid in that doesn't go to build tunnels or bunkers or fortifications? I mean, talk to me about that aspect.
There has been a protocol that was just agreed to by the Israelis with the United Nations to build some housing, but even that's fallen through now in the past few days. There was a protocol between the U.S. government and the Israelis for cement and for piping, also to relieve some of the sewage disasters across Gaza. That was in place, and that hasn't been revived. It seems that it's not a question of logistics. It's a question of politics that's got in the way now.
So there is a crisis. It is not a question of rewarding anyone politically. It's a question of no will to end this siege and meet the needs of the people of Gaza.
That's right. When Nick Kristof today in one of his articles reminded everyone that when you eliminate chocolate and coriander from the list of allowable items, it's not a matter of national security. It's a matter of politics.
Thank you so much for joining us, Bill Corcoran. Check out the ANERA website. We'll put the address up on the screen, and see what you can do to help the people of Gaza. Up next, Ambassador Edward Peck, who was part of the Gaza humanitarian flotilla. He'll talk about his personal account of the incident. Don't go away.